Attention, Meringue Nation, the air in Valdebebas is heavier than ever. The corridors of the Santiago Bernabeu, which normally echo with past glories and future dreams, now whisper of betrayals, ultimatums, and a silent crisis that threatens to disintegrate the dynasty we thought was unshakable. This is no longer football. It's a high-tension game of chess, where every move could topple a king. Imagine an empire at its peak. Now imagine the foundations of that same empire beginning to crack from within and without, simultaneously. This is precisely the scenario at Real Madrid. Our pillar, the heir to the number 7 jersey and symbol of our race, finds himself in a contractual impasse that challenges the board's authority. One of our most decisive heroes, the man of European miracles, is the target of an unprecedented financial offensive from England, testing his loyalty and our resilience. And to complete the chaos, a young prospect, newly arrived to be the future, commits a slip of the tongue that reverberates like heresy within the sacred temple of Madridism. Dangerous innocence, Franco Mostantuono's statement, which, although seemingly trivial, exposes a dangerous cultural flaw in the new generation. Stay with us until the end, as each revelation connects to the next, painting a complete and frightening picture of the club's most delicate moment in recent years. At the heart of every dynasty lies a symbol, a face that embodies spirit, struggle, and glory. In today's Real Madrid, that face is Vinicius Jr., the number 7 who turned boos into applause, doubts into reverence, and who set Europe ablaze. With his dribbling and courage, he's not just a player. He's the embodiment of Real Madrid's resilience. And that's precisely why his current situation is so alarming. A veritable silent earthquake beneath the Bern Abbey acute. Officially, his contract extends until 2027. But behind the scenes, a cold war is being waged. A renewal that was supposed to be a celebration has turned into a strategic battleground. The central issue, status and recognition. Vinicius and his staff understand that, as the team's technical and emotional leader, his salary should be on par with that offered to Kylian Mbappe, the Galactic signing who arrived with the highest salary in the squad. It's not just about money, it's a matter of hierarchy, of respect for what was achieved on the field, not just what was promised. On the other side of the table, Florentino Perez, the architect of modern Madrid, faces a monumental dilemma. Giving in to Vini's demands would set a dangerous precedent, risking inflating the entire payroll and upsetting the financial stability that sustains the club. For him, management is paramount. Not giving in, however, risks the dissatisfaction and demotivation of his biggest star, the player the fans have embraced like a son. The impasse is complete. Sources close to the player claim he feels undervalued, that his loyalty and performance are not being rewarded commensurate with his importance. Meanwhile, the board is preaching caution, trying to protect the locker room ecosystem. Xabi Alonso, the tactical commander, observes silently, aware that the resolution of this conflict could define his team's morale for the entire season. The question echoing in Madrid is devastating. Are we running the risk of fracturing our relationship with our greatest icon for the sake of pride and spreadsheets? While this internal battle consumes energy, an equally powerful external threat knocks at our door. While the tension surrounding Vinicius Jr. unfolds in the offices of Valdebebas, a storm is brewing on the horizon, coming directly from Manchester. And it has a name. Pep Guardiola, the Catalan manager, known for his tactical obsession, has identified his primary target to further consolidate his European dominance. And that target wears the number 11 shirt for Real Madrid. Rodrygo'S, Mr. Champions League, the decisive lightning bolt, has become Guardiola's personal obsession. However, amidst this hurricane of speculation, Rodrygo himself appeared before the cameras with a serene smile and the confidence of someone who seems to be in control of the situation. He uttered the words that the entire Madridista nation longed to hear: "I am focused on Real Madrid. Speculation exists, but my heart is here," a declaration of love, an oath of loyalty that, for a moment, calmed the storm and brought relief to the afflicted hearts of the fans. But behind the scenes of power, where words carry weight and intentions are deciphered, this sentence is being analyzed under a magnifying glass. Could it be a genuine testament to his devotion to the crest, or a masterstroke? A carefully camouflaged farewell to preserve his image as an idol? Because the truth is, Madridistas, that while Rodrygo speaks from the heart, Manchester City speaks the universal language of money, and it speaks very loudly. The formal, aggressive, and almost impossible to refuse offer is already on Florentino Perez's desk. Sources confirm a bid that surpasses the €120 million fixed fee barrier, plus bonuses that could turn the transaction into one of the most expensive in history. Guardiola sees Rodrygo as the perfect piece, tactically intelligent, lethal, and with a supernatural maturity in big games. He doesn't want to wait. He wants him now. Rodrygo, with his speech, has put the club's back against the wall. The pressure on Florentino Perez is immense, forcing him to make a decision that will reverberate for years. Ignore the player's statement and accept a fortune, appearing as a purely financial club, or honor the hero's word, refusing a historic offer and perhaps dealing with a player who knows he could be earning a stratospheric salary elsewhere. How the club handles this contradiction between the oath and the temptation is a direct reflection of its philosophy, a philosophy that was recently reaffirmed in another major negotiation. Amid the chaos of the negotiations for Vini and Rodrygo, a parallel story reveals, with crystal clarity, the philosophy that governs Real Madrid under Florentino Perez. For months, Gianluigi Donnarumma's name was whispered as a strategic target, an elite goalkeeper, a European champion, with the potential to create healthy competition for Courtois and eventually succeed him. The negotiations progressed quietly, until an insurmountable obstacle rose: arrogance. The demands made by the Italian goalkeeper and his staff, led by notorious businessman Mino Raiola, were considered an insult by the Madrid board. They asked for an absolute star salary in the region of €15 million per year, in addition to bonuses and commissions that were described as unrealistic. They attempted to auction the player, using Real Madrid's interest to inflate his market value, a tactic that had already driven Juventus away. Florentino Perez's response was immediate, cold, and definitive. The negotiations weren't just paused, they were terminated. Donnarumma's name was permanently crossed off the list. The message sent to the football world was unequivocal. Real Madrid will not be held hostage by anyone. The club's greatness does not bow to the demands of players or the greed of agents. The institution dictates the rules at the Santiago Bernabeu, and anyone who doesn't understand this isn't worthy of wearing this jersey. Internally, this decision was applauded and interpreted as a reinforcement of the Florentino doctrine. It was a direct warning, not only to the market, but to the squad itself. At a time when Vini and Rodrygo's contract renewals are becoming complex, the stance on the Donnarumma case serves as a reminder that the club is sovereign. The focus turns to homegrown solutions, solidifying trust in Lunin and investing in young players from the academy. This demonstration of strength and identity, however, is put to the test when cultural challenges arise from within, especially from the new generation arriving. He arrived like a prince, one of the greatest prospects in Argentine football. Signed for a fortune from River Plate at just 17, Franco Mostantuono represents the future, the raw talent that Real Madrid seeks to hone to ensure its next decade of dominance. However, even before wowing the Bernabeu with his talent, he sparked a storm with his words, igniting a debate about identity and belonging. In a recent interview with an Argentine media outlet, when asked about his greatest role model in football, Mostantuono was sincere, direct, and for the Madrid fanbase, incredibly naive. For me, the best in the world is Messi, a simple statement, but in the context of Real Madrid, it sounds like blasphemy to say, within the club's confines, that its greatest inspiration is the greatest symbol in the history of arch-rival Barcelona is a monumental miscalculation. The backlash was immediate and overwhelming. On social media, fans were divided. Many treated it as a juvenile slip-up, the immaturity of a kid who hadn't yet grasped the cultural dimension and visceral rivalry that defines Madridismo. Others, more stern, saw it as a terrible sign, an indication that he hadn't yet mentally worn the shirt. In the locker room, silence was the response, but inside sources assured that the statement caused deep discomfort among the more experienced players. This seemingly minor episode exposes a gigantic challenge for Xabi Alonso and the board: how to integrate global talent without diluting the sacred culture of Madridismo. Mostantuono's statement was a reminder that wearing white requires more than talent. It requires an almost religious understanding of what this crest represents. Florentino Perez knows that the club's image is one of its greatest assets, and mistakes like this, however innocent, cannot be tolerated. It's a sign that the battle for Real Madrid's future is not just financial or contractual, but also ideological. While the tension surrounding Vinicius Jr. unfolds in the Valdebebas offices, a storm is brewing on the horizon, coming directly from Manchester. And it has a name. Pep Guardiola, the Catalan coach, known for his tactical obsession, has defined his main target to further consolidate his European dominance. And that target wears Real Madrid's number 11 jersey. Rodrygo'S, Mr. Champions League, the decisive lightning bolt, has become Guardiola's personal obsession. What began as speculation in the British press has evolved into a formal, aggressive, and nearly irresistible proposal. Sources confirm that Manchester City has placed an offer on Florentino Perez's table that exceeds a fixed €120 million, plus performance-based bonuses that could make the deal one of the most expensive in history. Guardiola sees Rodrygo as the perfect fit, a tactically intelligent player, lethal whether the cracks will deepen, ushering in an era of uncertainty. Your voice, the fans who support this giant, is more crucial than ever. We want to hear your opinion. Should the club give in to Vinicius? Should we accept the fortune for Rodrygo? Was Florentino's stance correct? How should we deal with the new generation? Leave your comment below and we'll turn this space into a virtual grandstand. If you've made it this far, it's because Madridismo runs through your veins. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video. Here, we take an in-depth look, without fear of the truth, at why Real Madrid is more than a club. It's a cause.